We are live. We are live. Show me you are alive over there on the other end of the screen. Let us know who's here. Type in the comments. Hashtag Team Live if you're here live with us right now, or hashtag Team Replay if you're catching the replay today. Happy Monday. This is the season 2 finale of the Self-Mastery series, and we are super excited to be here with you guys today. I can't believe it's already the last episode of this season. That's 10 weeks in a row here that we've been on live, and some of you have been here with us from the beginning. Time is flying on by. This is where it all comes together right now in this episode, right? We're going to pull it all together, and you really lock in and solidify everything that you've learned over the last 4-5 weeks now.
Yeah, absolutely. So welcome tonight. Full disclosure, I'm feeling a little under the weather, but I was not going to miss tonight. So if my energy's a little bit low, my apologies, but we're still rocking and rolling tonight because tonight's going to be so good. It's the season finale, right? Can't miss that. So tonight is all about mastering the stages of transformation. Okay, so type yes if you have ever learned something. Type this in the comments where the light bulb moment goes off, right? Or you get this like slight bit of awareness, and then you take a look at your life a month or two later and it really hasn't actually transformed. You get this like, oh my God, yes, this is what I want to do, but then it really doesn't. So you started out very excited, motivated, pumped about maybe it was a new piece of information that you learned or a strategy that you learned or something that you're like, yes, this is it. But it's like the results of that info or whatever it is that you've learned, you haven't applied any of it. Okay, so it's not getting you any results that you want in some way. So, and I get it because I've been there, so many times, with the same thing over and over again.
So comment below, hell yes, if you've ever been there and you feel like, why isn't this working? Just let us know, hell yes, down below in the comments with us. So we've all been there before, and we've all been there before. An example is that maybe you're at a seminar or conference, you've gone to one of those pump up motivational things, and you have this amazing light bulb moment, and you're like, absolutely, that's it. I get it. Gratitude is a master skill for faster success. I finally get it. And it's going to create an epic life for me. And you have that moment right then and there, that moment. And you're like, okay, I'm going to have gratitude for my life. I'm going to do it. And I'm going to set my intention to do that right now. And then literally find yourself not even 2 weeks after something happens. Life happens, which, by the way, will happen. There's no escaping it. Yeah. And you're like, well, where'd all that gratitude go? And it just disappears.
Just disappears, right? But there's a reason why that happens. And the reason is because you haven't followed the process of mastering the stages of transformation. So let's go through what the stages are. So there's 5, okay? And the 5 stages that will actually allow you to transform is stage number 1. It's a stage called germination. And that's basically the idea, right? The idea pops in your head of, I'm ready to change, okay? I'm sick of the old ways. I want something new. When you get like to that point where you're just like, oh my God, okay, I'm just done. And something needs to happen. You just want to move forward, right? So it's like, if you go out, for example, and let's say a period of time, you go out a lot and then you're like eating and you're just drinking and maybe it's just for like a few consecutive days, but you feel like crap. Okay. So you're like, okay, I'm done. I need to like detox. I can't eat any more of this crap like that, So has anyone ever really experienced that, or is it just me? Because that's one of the things that I can see myself like that would happen before. And that is the part where you're like, the idea pops in like, oh, I should probably do something about this.
Yeah. So germination, this is the idea that you are starting to have that you want to change. You're sick of all those old ways of being, right? Mm-hmm. You're not getting the results you want. And we get to that point where we're just finally, you know what, I'm done. So sick of this. So if you guys know what we're talking about right now, type, oh, yes, right? Have you hit that point where you're like, nope, done with this, right? If you know what we're talking about, type, oh, yes. That's the first stage of mastering the stages of transformation. And it's a great stage to start out at, right?
Absolutely.
Amazing.
Yes. Then we move on to stage number 2. So stage number 2 comes along and it's called assimilating discontent. Yeah. So discontent is where you're like, oh yeah, I really got to change this. This is like for sure, because this is not okay. I really have to do something about this. It's really something that is starting to affect your life in a way that you're like, you know what, this has to change. So the seed is now planted, right? And you want to blossom and you want to grow. It's almost like a feeling, it's like a little negative feeling of discontent, feeling internally. But discontent is actually a gem. Okay. So it's a gem if you use it to your advantage instead of it being taken advantage of by it. Right. So I'm going to repeat that, because discontent is actually a gem. It is, if you use it instead of being used by it. Because what most people do when they experience like that discontent is they beat themselves up over it, right? Which doesn't really allow them to change at all. But if you notice that discontent feeling with something, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, I can use this to change my life. Like, I don't have to feel this way, or I don't have to continue doing this or eating like this or drinking like this or not completing the things that I'm doing, then you're at an advantage.
And then we drop down into stage number 3, or step number 3. And this is called the verge of tears. And the verge of tears is a point where you get to when you're like, you know what? Ha! I'm freaking done. This is done. I'm so done. I am ready for the change right now. So for us human beings, everything we do is driven by our need to avoid pain or gain pleasure. And most people, it's more avoiding of pain, right? That's what we really want. We want to stay away from the pain because it's that much stronger in our mind. And remember from lesson 1, would you rather do more to save $50,000 or prevent $50,000 from getting stolen from you, right? All the way back in episode 1, 5 weeks ago. But most likely you're more pain avoidant. So we hit what's called this verge of tears. And that's like, I'm so freaking done with this. I'm ready for change. I'm going to make it happen because the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of change. Mm-hmm. And everybody gets to this point where they can be at this verge of tears.
Absolutely. And how many of you have ever had a moment in time where, you've been like, again, eaten completely like garbage? I keep using that because I feel like that's something we can relate to, right? Eating like crap for a few weeks, or, you just gone down like this road of like shitty habits for a while, and maybe you're not getting enough sleep. You're just overworking yourself, whatever it is. Okay. You're just treating yourself mentally like crap. And you look at yourself in the mirror and you say, self, I'm done. I'm done with this and I'm ready for change. So type yes if you've ever done that. Okay. So you're at this verge of tears. Who's been there? I have so many times. And then you just swear, you're like, okay, this is it. I am really the willpower, I'm really just going to will my way out of this. I'm done. I'm ready for change. I'm going to make this happen.
Step number 4 is what's going to happen this week. Step number 4 is called the light bulb moment, where that light bulb goes off in your head. And what does that mean exactly? Just curious. It's where you gain this intuitive hits and clarity. All of a sudden, it just comes. You're like, bam, that's it. Now I know. And you're like, okay, ding, ding. That's what I need to change. Mm-hmm. I'm very clear on what needs to happen next in my life is the next thing you're going to think of in your head when you get those intuitive hits. And I'm going to step out and assume that that's where most of you are right now if you've done the last 4 or 5 weeks of our self-mastery series, right? That's where you are right now at this light bulb moment stage, because you've taken all of our information and you've thought about it. You've had that moment of clarity and you've got some intuitive hits along the way, and that's awesome, right? You know what you need to change by now after hearing all of this information, and you're at the point where I'm like, I am ready to go. I'm changing my life right now.
Yes. And now here's where the slippery slope starts. Okay. Because what most people do is at step number 4 of 5, they fall down the slippery slope. They just learn, just have that moment of clarity, but there's that 5th step. Okay. And this is what allows people to actually transform. And the 5th step is called the opening, right? It's a favorable circumstance, an opportunity. It's an opportunity to take something to an entirely new level. It's where you go from, I know that's what I need to do to change, to how can I make this happen no matter what? Okay, I'm going to find a way to make it happen.
Yeah. So for example, let's say you want to be a piano player, but not just a mediocre piano player playing chopsticks, right? You want to be a phenomenal piano player. And you get to the point where you're like, I want to be a piano player just like Beethoven. All right. And let's see, there's an opportunity there. And you have a moment of clarity when that happens. Okay, what I need to do is take piano lessons. That next step just shows up in your mind. You might not have known that in the beginning, but then you don't take those piano lessons because of whatever excuse comes in, right? Whether it's time, money, kids, whatever it is, right? That little voice comes up into your mind and says, you can't do it. And what most people do is they miss this favorable circumstance to transform when it first pops into your mind, because that little voice takes over. They miss this opening that's going to change it all for them and actually make it set in. And this is the consequence of that. Mara, take it away.
Yes. And I'm sure you've experienced this in your life in some way. Okay, so type yes if you have experienced this in some way. Where's and it has an opportunity presented itself to make that change that you know you needed to have happen, but then you just don't go and do it, right? You just logically say to yourself like, I know I need to take this action, but you just don't.
So then what happens? Where do you find yourself in 3 months from now? Where do you find yourself in 5 months? How about the next year? Where are you then? You find yourself a year down the road in the same exact spot, and you have to wait for other opportunities to open up. But you're operating from a place of the mind, not the heart. And when you operate in what I call opening from a place of fear of the mind, right? It causes you to do something called avoidance. And that's where the fear just hijacks everything and takes right over. See, when there's an opportunity for you to really solidify your transformation and set it in, and you're saying, oh, I can't do that. There's absolutely no way I can do that.
Now, remember when I told you I was unemployed back, I think it was a couple episodes ago. I was unemployed. I had the debt. I had all this fear because, I wasn't sure what to do. And I had an opportunity to hire a coach and to take courses. I had an opportunity to bring on the mentor that was going to move me forward. And in those moments, I said to myself, how am I going to do that? I shouldn't be spending the money on this. I need to save this money. What am I supposed to be doing? But I found a way, right? If I would have operated in the opening and just stayed there where this coach was going to take me, to the next level, if I were to operate from that place, then my mindset would have been once I'm out of, debt, or once I had a job, or once whatever, then I could hire the coach so I can be successful.
So would you have been successful if you had done that?
No.
So
I said, this is the opening of opportunity, and this is the thing that's going to move me and my life towards the direction of where I desire to go. Anytime in my life where I'm at a conference or I'm doing a challenge or anything like that, I'm in a place where I'm growing and I'm transforming and I'm learning something that's going to move my life in the right direction to transform everything. And there's an opportunity to enroll the person that's going to mentor me or whatever it is. It's something that I jump on without hesitation, obviously. Right, Shane? And through that window, I just go right through it. And if you don't jump through the window, it closes, right? And then goes away for maybe a year, maybe 2 years. And then you're then you just feel like you're stuck still in the same place.
Yeah. So we're all going to have these opportunities, these openings, right? And we're all going to be presented with a ton of them, especially in the area of setting goals. And we really mean bigger and bigger goals, goals that inspire you, not the ones that you've already achieved before and not the ones that you think that you can achieve. Go back and see and remember how it felt to visualize that dream when it was as big as it could ever be, when it was really what you wanted. Okay. Go back and remember when you've dreamed bigger than you've ever dreamed before. And how did that feel? If you haven't done that, go ahead and jump right into that. Go bigger, find that thing that you really want, and then go to the next level. And it might even feel a little uncomfortable, but that's where the energy is. That's where you're going to be inspired, right? And how did that feel? Were you feeling like a candy store, just picking from whatever that you want? And you're like, oh my God, look at all this amazing candy. How did that feel? So type vision in our chat right now in the comments below if you've ever loved that lesson.
Love that. Then we focus on where we want to go instead of where we don't want to go. You know, shifting our focus. And that is a bit of awareness in the light bulb moment of that's where I need to go. That's what I need to do. And so many of you this week had, you know, life happen, right? And where it's so easy to go back and focus on what you don't want instead of what you do want, right? So the windows open and they close and they open and they close. So we need to act on those when they're open.
Yeah, we do. And back in week 3, episode number 3 of season 2, you learned that more success does not equal more sacrifice. It's not just working harder. Instead, I need to be aligned with where I want to go.